So my name is Julius Mihkkal Eriksen Lindi. I'm based in northern Norway. I'm a northern Sámi from a small town called Kárášjohka, and I'm a project advisor in the Arctic and environmental unit of Saami Council. And I can also say that I'm a project lead on the Saami Council's what do you call it, participation in the UArctic climate interventions, a project that Lars mentioned briefly before. So we are doing the indigenous assessment part of that project. And I'll do a quick, just so you can place us on the map and where we are based. This is, I'll do a brief introduction to the Saami Council. We're a non-governmental organization founded in 1956. We're marking our 70-year anniversary next year, in fact. I have already quite a history, at least comparing to other indigenous organizations around the world. But we have Sami member organizations based in Finland, Russia, and Norway, and Sweden. I guess that was all of them. We were established with the primary mission of promoting the Sami rights and interests for Samis within this four countries, and to maintain the economic, social, and cultural rights of the Sami people. And that also applies to in matters regarding the climate and the very timely matter of climate change within the Arctic, which we're seeing many adverse effects of. Just to give you an overview of our organizations that make up the a political body of Saami Council that have representatives making up the seat of the council. They are listed up here. I'm not going to go through each one of them, but they're based in each countries, and much like in the UArctic case, where the participation from the Russian side is understandably not. It's been put to pause, but we're still operating as much as we can with the communication part with the Russian side Samis, so there's a political component to Saami Council and an executive branch to where we do work on a project basis most commonly, and that I'm falling under, basically. Here you can see the website that Lars mentioned earlier of the project that we're part of. Cool.earth, very easy domain to find on your phone, and here you can also find the details about the project, and it is going to be continually updated as we progress, and as we get our indigenous assessment going and results from it. It's a good website to check out. And here we can find a QR code for the first phase of the project that was called Frozen Arctic Conservation, where you can see sort of a horizon scan of the interventions that we're talking about here in our Arctic climate interventions. And a very good compendium, as there are several members here that have these documents here. So if you want to check it out on physically, then you can do that. Unless if you didn't get the time to scan the QR code. But so there's 61 proposed climate interventions in 6 categories and assessed according to 12 criteria. So that was the phase 1 of the project. In the phase 2, we're moving on to doing a more Saami Council is going to take part in the indigenous assessment, and in parallel to that, more technical assessments that are of the interventions. Yeah, and here you can see our, management group team members and the advisory board also of our project. With many different ties and many faces that you might find familiar in this conference too. So yeah, say hi to them and yeah, connect them with them if you can. So about our project, this is what we are committed to, doing an indigenous assessment and yeah, bring our knowledge and perspective and engage our own knowledge holders in the assessment process. And yeah, we are very free on how we want to do this. It's been in fact, I've been working on it in a year, and it's still something as we're learning as we go. But we have found a process to it that we want to use, at least from Saami Council's side. There's also the other side of that. Saami Council would be sort of engaging other permanent participants of the Arctic Council in the project because it's a big undertaking. It's not we're not experts in every field. I mean, there's for instance, sea ice, glaciers, and everything in between. That's more yeah, something for ICC or yeah, the other permanent participants. So we would like to engage other Arctic indigenous peoples in this work and yeah, to make the assessment, Arctic indigenous peoples assessment and evaluation of the interventions. So that will be an important element of this work. Also, yeah, I appreciated Fatupu's Miss Fatupu presentation on the Tuvalu and the impending doom of rising sea levels in there that it poses for the Tuvalu people. And yeah, it is also yeah, you might know that we have been very critical of SRM in particular before, but we do still acknowledge the need to scrutinize the interventions and including maybe doing an evaluation of stratospheric aerosol injection yeah, we have been critical of before. So it is also very valuable that we can take part in a way that these interventions can be independently assessed and evaluated by us, so that we can make sure that we're not forced to take any stand or have a motive on it, but just genuinely make sure that our views, priorities, and interests are also reflected and included in it. And yeah, this is yeah. I'm not going into too much in this because I have some other points I want to make clear on the other part of my presentation. But yeah, you might know us as the organization that stopped Scopex, and yeah, a big part of the council still remains very skeptical of the whole method, but we after engaging with this project for a bit, we have opened our minds or a bit more, or warmed up to the idea of interventions, because we see that, well, yeah, reducing greenhouse gas emission isn't happening fast enough. In fact, so we do really see the need to look into this again and evaluate whether it's something that should be carried out either way. So we still have many things we've wrestled with in regards to our concerns with climate interventions. At first, especially, it was that it would be a distraction from the need of reducing greenhouse emissions, that there would be a slippery slope to deployment once we do, do the testing and research on it, and otherwise, what are the other unpredictable environmental outcomes of this? And so it's been some a memo that has been shared with other Arctic indigenous peoples too, and environmental organizations of Sweden too, that opposed this project. And last year, how Harvard announced its halting of the of this experiment. So this was a case of what not to do in regards to climate interventions. I hope that can be taken as a lesson on that, and hopefully, yeah, we do have a sort of collectively an idea of what can be done instead to facilitate a better approach to community engagement and consultation with these projects. And I realized that after working on this in Saami Council for a bit over the year, we are known as the bunch of reindeer herders that stopped Scopex, especially in the SRM field. And there's many problems with this saying. It's from Make Sense, but I can. It's been. It discounts the fact that there are other contributions or like oppositions of to Scopex, and that that it also frames us as being more primitive in or how do you say it? Primitive and against a barrier sort of to solutions, which has some pretty unfortunate what do you call it? Unfortunate implication or understanding within the Sami society, and I know this isn't the common or the idea shared by all people in this field, but there is a big concern within the Sami community that this is like the pitfall that we're gonna fall in. And so I'm gonna highlight two ideas, or I think it's better to call them concepts, that are very relevant to the Sami community, very relevant to today's discourse on the green shift and how the climate change, the burdens of climate change, impact Sami communities, and if they are not addressed within climate intervention, they may, in the field of climate intervention, they may very well also bleed very badly to this field. So I'm gonna focus on two concepts, like the concept of green colonialism. These are essentially just practices that where environmental and climate action perpetuate inequalities, dispossession, exploitation, and often by imposing solutions that don't fully involve or respect the rights of local marginalized communities and indigenous people. So this is something that we have seen in Sámi, that has been coined after many years of the green transition, that things are done in the name of the green shift, of making numbers more clean in regards to greenhouse gas emissions, but in reality they might have really bad effects to the ecosystems that our communities are reliant on and need for their sustenance, as has been mentioned already before. So it's that's one term, and also the idea of strategic ignorance. We have also experienced a very deliberate avoidance or suppression of knowledge or information that could potentially disrupt the status quo, the common like the the current understanding of the government, for instance, on the situation, or yeah, the power structures. So these, I want you to have these in mind. So I'll wrap up here, and yeah, this is something that we have seen in our Fosen case protests. This is something that we see in the mines that are established in the lands, and something, yeah, especially with the EU Raw Critical Materials Act. It's so this will, if not taken into consideration or into context in regards to community outreach or engagement in regards to climate change, but it will very badly reflect on your project. So I want you to have that as a common takeaway, and yeah, I'll leave it with that. This yeah, that our community members eloquently conveyed in our meetings, and they wanted us to present these ideas because they very much are within the conversation. So yeah, thank you, and we'll take those.
Thank you so much, Julius. Very, very interesting. Actually, when addressing one crisis, we must not create another. I think that this is something that Fatubu also said in her presentation. So this has many different dimensions. Before taking questions from the audience, there's one from the online audience. So the question is, what would be the threshold requirements the Saami Council to back a first set of SAI?
That's a good question. Can you say what would be the first the special requirements? I think it's yeah, we've been or I've been wrestling with that question a bit for myself, yeah, self too. It's yeah, it's also been something we're kind of working on during this project, and also something we want to hear from other permanent participants. But I think it would be to highlight what sort of, you know, other effects might or if SAI has some benefits that are, you know, well, beneficial in reindeer herding, for instance, if there are, well, benefits that we can highlight to our communities that can, you know, change them, you know, yeah, the perception of SAI for us, because our, well, as I mentioned earlier, our, you know, political body is the one that it is very consensus based. So if we can convince them that SAI is fine, then or like beneficial in many ways, and yeah, doesn't pose other problems to us, then yeah, that might be a strong contender for us to, you know, have a threshold requirements to back a test, directly back a test, and yeah. So just thinking on how it benefits the communities and their community needs too. So.
Sure, thank you. There's one question over there. Please introduce yourself and then ask a very short question, and let's keep also the answers concise.
Yeah, I'll try to.
Question at the front.
Yeah, a bit. Yeah.
Okay, I talk loud. Yeah, now I've talked really loud. Christer Persson from Fosen Space Center. I have a question. We are in a crisis. You are in a crisis because of this as well. We know that it hits harder on the Arctic than on the rest of the world, perhaps. How can you, from the council, see to that you are quick in actually coming to a conclusion? If someone comes to you and say, we want to do this, how can you process to get an answer back quickly? Because otherwise you will be a bottleneck. And this is, and it's, I fully understand. I think it was a good thing, but the Scopex, it really brought this to the top. But it mustn't do that every time. So my question, as I said, clearly, how can you process it so that there's a quick answer on the things?
Should we do another?
Julius, would you like to answer the question?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. I mean, yeah, that's a fair question and a good one. And yeah, the first thing that comes into mind that it is not our burden to get informed about all of these techniques. We are very welcoming to being informed if we can. And the first principle that is very briefly is flashed on the screen maybe was the principle of FPIC, having the free, prior, and informed consent in the matter would help immensely on that. And yeah, I suppose being informed would also and for us to getting to deliberate it would help a lot. And I can also say that I'm not part of the political body of the council. I'm executive, but I can convey this to the political body in our council meetings that we have a bunch in the year. So I guess I'll keep that.
Okay, we have time for the shortest question on the planet.
Okay, we aren't talking to Russia anymore for good reasons. I see a lot of Arctic communities are in Russia. How do we involve them and create legitimacy for Arctic interventions when we can't talk to Russia anymore?
That's a big dilemma that we're facing in all levels in Arctic Council. And I think Raipon, the Russian people, Russian indigenous peoples of the north, is still involved, very much involved in our Arctic Council working group meetings, and we're gonna have a big outreach thing that will reach to them too, including all permanent participants. So it's still a very big challenge for us to figure out on how to include that. That are arguably the biggest area of the Arctic and its indigenous people. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Julius, for your wonderful presentation. Let's give applause to Julius.